FidelityFX Super Resolution 3, which was initially announced in November of the previous year, is now officially a reality, and AMD's technology may soon become available on some selected games. So, the focus of today's video is on FSR 3. Hold on tight, and if you want to see more recent updates, make sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon. Before delving into the technical and technological evolutions of the FSR 3, AMD reiterated its continued support for FidelityFX Super Resolution, both first and second version, for a catalog of games that currently exceeds 300 units. But after the announcement that took place a long time ago, it is time for this technology to evolve, and to do so AMD has presented some innovations capable of improving game performance. AMD has announced FSR 3 alongside a bunch of other technologies like HYPR-RX and noise suppression to fuel the Radeon gaming experience. Gamers can now enjoy sky-high 4K 120 FPS experiences on a budget $450 graphics card. This is thanks to the fluid motion frames, frame generation, technology bundled with FidelityFX Super Resolution. The best part about AMD's frame gen tech is that it's supported on last-gen GPUs and NVIDIA cards as well. FSR 3 is supported on the entirety of the Radeon RX 7000 and RX 6000 series lineups. This includes the newly launched Radeon RX 7800 XT and RX 7700 XT. In AMD's demonstration, these cards were seen hitting over 300% performance boosts thanks to frame generation. Besides these GPUs, a couple of offerings from the Radeon RX 5000 series lineup will also get support for FSR 3. FSR 3 is headed to multiple NVIDIA graphics cards like previous versions of the temporal upscaling technology. Every RTX graphics card ever launched is getting access to AMD's frame generation and improved super resolution formula. FSR 3 is an exciting addition to the temporal upscaling tech family. The best part about the technology is the wide array of supported graphics cards. FSR 3 could maybe work even on older, slow GPUs, but it does have a supported and recommended suggestion from AMD. For its GPUs list, it suggests that FSR 3 will support Radeon RX 5700 and above, with Radeon RX 6000 series being the recommended one. For NVIDIA GPUs, AMD suggests it will support RTX 20 series and above, with RTX 30 series and above being recommended. New FSR 3 will be available on any video card, regardless of manufacturer, so not only AMD, but also NVIDIA and Intel. The biggest novelty of this third generation is represented by the AMD Fluid Motion Frames, AMD's most concrete answer to NVIDIA's frame generator. First, the AMD Fluid Motion Frames must be active in order to activate AMD Fluid Motion Frames. Anti-lag plus further AMD technology to limit and cancel the lag between one frame and the next, which is exactly along the lines of NVIDIA Reflex, even more important in this case since the frames are generated from scratch, without going through the rendering. Thanks to it, the FPS on Forspoken go from 36 to 122 without lag in performance mode with ray tracing enabled and 4K resolution, keeping the game smooth and making the transition between real and generated frames imperceptible. The technical operation of the AMD Fluid Motion Frames to create the additional frames is based on the calculation of the motion vectors, i.e. the calculation based on the distance of movement of the pixels in the previous frames, so as to generate the following frames on the positioning indications analyzed so far. In the case of NVIDIA, this process is attributed to the work of artificial intelligence with tensor cores, while for AMD it will be the developers who will have to implement the motion vectors so that the technology can intervene in the frame creation phase. Another technology that interfaces with the FSR 3 is the native anti-aliasing mode, which can be roughly compared to NVIDIA's DLAA. The first games to support FSR 3 are Forspoken and Immortals of Aveum. There is still no official release date, but realistically we are talking about the release of a patch for the implementation between September and October. Although only these two are officially the pioneers of the new AMD technology, Many games will see the FSR 3 arrive during the year and throughout 2024. The titles declared so far are Cyberpunk 2077, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, Frostpunk 2, Wukong, and many more. Unreal Engine will also play its part as AMD is working with Epic to develop as soon as possible a plugin capable of allowing software houses to implement the FSR 3 quickly and easily through the engine. With these first batch of games, it'll be interesting to see the kinds of improvements this new technology will bring, especially as first impressions on the Gamescom floor seem to be positive. It may not be NVIDIA's DLSS technology, which is also coming out with a new generation of it titled NVIDIA DLSS 3.0, but it's definitely impressive, and for console players, the improvement of AMD's FSR is what to look out for. However, we still have to see if image quality will hold up, though. AMD's approach with FSR has always been open support, but NVIDIA's lockdown of DLSS allows it to achieve better image quality. This could be even more important for fluid motion frames. Even DLSS frame generation struggles to get around artifacts despite NVIDIA's dedicated AI hardware. At last, we would say, this is a bigger and more interesting challenge than it may first appear, because AMD is essentially promising to try to bring frame interpolation to every game on a driver level. FSR 3 requires that the technology be built into each individual game, in part because it relies on motion vector data. That motion vector data is not available to driver-level overrides, which is why HYPR-RX Radeon Super Resolution ability is only a spatial upscaling technology. Put another way, AMD apparently thinks they can do frame interpolation without motion vectors, and still achieve a good enough degree of image quality. It's a rather audacious goal, and it will be interesting to see how it turns out in the future. FSR 3 is going to be a transformative technology for gamers, as AMD's open-source technology approach allows frame generation to be given to gamers on both PC and consoles. This technology will have a huge impact on future games on PC, Xbox Series X/S, and PlayStation 5. Wrapping things up, AMD's current implementation of HYPR-RX will be presumably available on September 6th as part of their new driver package. Meanwhile, HYPR-RX with frame interpolation is a work in progress, and will be coming at a later date. So that was all for today. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and hit the bell icon for future updates. See you next time.